I'm Nate Hogan. In this video, we're going to talk about reprogramming your mind because you are not going to change, you are not going to grow, you're not going to make more money. Nothing's going to change if your mind doesn't change. Your mind is where it starts. Your mind is your garden, so you got to make sure you plant the right seeds. And we're going to get into how to do that and how to change your life by reprogramming your mind to live the life that you want to live. So let's get right into it. First things first, we got this slide that says your thoughts create your reality. I don't think people understand the strength of that. Your thoughts create your reality. Whatever you're thinking about all the time, good or bad, that is what is going to move into form. So many people spend the time thinking about the worst case scenarios. What could go wrong? What could be bad? What if this happens? What if that happens? You are making it more and more likely that that is going to happen. So you have to be careful with what you think about. You have to be planting the right seeds. So if you're constantly worrying about what could go wrong, if you want to take a risk, but you're just stressing about if you fail, what happens if I fail? What if this happens? What if that happens? You are making it more and more likely that that is going to happen, that that is going to take place. So you have to be extremely careful with what you are thinking about, what you're worrying about, because, faith and fear are both extremely powerful. One helps you, one hurts you, so you got to be careful. And then this quote I really liked. It was in one of Bob Proctor's seminars, but he says, everything you hate is yours and everything you love is yours. So if you hate something, you are making it more and more likely to come into your life because you are giving your energy, your time, your thoughts to whatever it is you hate. So if you hate poverty, if that's all you think about is that you hate that you have debt, you hate this, you hate that, you are making that stay in your life. You are bringing that closer to you. You are making it more and more likely that that is going to stay and stick with you for forever because it is in your mind. Your mind is a direct representation. Your life is a direct representation of what is going on in your mind. Your life is ultimately just a reflection. So you need to ask yourself, what seeds are you planting in your mind? Because your mind is a garden. And so if you're not planting the good seeds, if you're not intentionally, consciously planting seeds that you want to plant, then that means the weeds are growing. And that's how people end up in a life that they don't want to live. So this next slide, I don't think people understand the importance of this, and it's probably the most important thing you'll ever learn. We are spiritual beings living in a physical world. Okay, so we are spiritual. That's why there's no limit on what we can do. Like, for example, if you have you have the straws on the camel's back. You get to a certain point, you're going to break the camel's back. But people aren't like that. You can continue to grow. You can continue to change. You continue to, develop as a person because we are spiritual beings. There's not a set limit as to what we can do, obviously within reason, but you can't be controlled by what your current situation is because you can always grow. You can always become more. You can always get stronger. You can always develop. So you have to understand that, we are spiritual beings and you have a spirit of perfection within you. Your spirit is perfect. That is perfection, and your desires and your desire to grow is your inner perfection seeking expression without. So both the spiritual and the physical world operate by the same laws. You reap what you sow. So whatever seeds you are planting in your mind, that is what you're going to reap in the physical world. If you're constantly thinking lack, negativity, poverty, worry, fear, if you are constantly thinking these thoughts, that is what you are planting, and you are going to reap the harvest. You are going to live that life because your life is created in your mind. Everything is first created here, and then it becomes to the physical world. So if you are not conscious and you are not careful about the thoughts you are planting in your garden, you will not live a plentiful, abundant life that you truly enjoy. So you must consciously plant positive ideas in your mind. You must take time out of your day to think good thoughts intentionally. Because if you're flooding your mind with these thoughts of abundance, of, hope, faith, whatever it is, you are going to experience that in your life. You're going to, if you're constantly telling yourself that you live a life of abundance, you're happy, you're healthy, you're fit, you're strong. If you're constantly, reassuring yourself of these things and you're planting the seeds in your mind, you are going to experience that. You're going to live that life. That is what you are going to live because that is what controls your self-image. So that is the biggest thing I can recommend those. You have to consciously plant these seeds. There is a gestation period, just like with seeds, physical seeds. We know that when you plant a certain crop, we know how long it takes to grow. Well, the same exact thing is happening in your mind. We don't know how long these thoughts take to develop. We don't know how long it takes. That's why you have to stay persistent. Because if you try, one day you're like, okay, today I'm going to think positive thoughts. I'm going to, pound this into my head. And then the next day you're on to something else. You're never going to change. You're never going to grow into that. You have to plant the same seed over and over and over and over and over and continue to water it continue with holding that idea in your mind. If you're continually watering the same ideas, it's going to grow. But so many people one day are like, oh, I want to do this, and the next day they want to do that, and the next day they want to do that, and then they wonder why they're in the same spot because you're running in circles. You got to have your set destination, and you got to go for it every single day. So this is a huge quote. An idle man's brain is the devil's workshop. Because if you are not consciously planting thoughts, you are going to live a life that you don't enjoy. You're going to live a life of, the world is very negative. You look at the news, you look at social media, you look at anything, everything's negative. Everything's talking about what's going to go wrong, why you can't do this, why you can't do that, the economy's going to crap, all these things. And so if you are constantly just absorbing all of that information and you are taking that as a truth and you're like, oh yeah, that's what's happening. You're planting those seeds in your mind. You're letting the devil get into your mind. You are letting these negative thoughts take you over. These thoughts of, oh, well, this, these terrible situations are about to happen. We're going to get into a war, and you're just living in fear. Because if you're not consciously planting the seeds, then the weeds will grow, because there's always something being planted. Always. There's always something growing. And so if you're not controlling what you're planting, you don't know what's going to grow in your mind. It could be poison. Because the poison and the corn, they both grow right next to each other. And they both grow in abundance. But you get to pick what you plant. So you have to be very conscious of your thoughts. And this is extremely important. This is, because your mind isn't your brain. Your brain and your mind are very different. Your mind isn't a physical thing. Your mind isn't here. It's not in the physical world. Okay? Because if you do a whole scan of your body, there's no mind. It's your brain. They're not the same thing at all. So this is the image that they created to help you understand what your mind is and what just an image of your mind so you have a better picture to work with. So you can, help plant the right seeds because you actually understand what's happening. So on the left side, we have the terror barrier, right? Or that's the life that you're in right now. Okay, so the X ideas are your current conditioning in your subconscious mind. Whatever you hold in your subconscious mind, your image of yourself, the ideas, the beliefs that you hold, that is what is creating your results. That is what is causing you to live the life that you are currently living. So if you're not planting new seeds, then the X ideas, the ideas that you are, where you've been getting your information, the thoughts you've been thinking, are going to keep, making it into your subconscious, and that is going to create your results and your actions. So if you're not making any effort to change in your mind, your actions aren't going to change. Nothing's going to change. That is why your self-image is so important. The way you see yourself is the life you live. If you see yourself as someone who lives a life of poverty, lacks, bad things happen to you, nothing goes good, if that's the way you see yourself, congrats, it's yours. Whatever you ask for, ask and you shall receive. It didn't say good or bad. It doesn't say ask and you shall receive, but only for good things. You get everything you ask for. Everything you experience in your life, you're asking for, not physically with your words, but in your mental space, in your spiritual world. So you have to be planting these new ideas, and these new ideas are why ideas. Okay, and so when your why ideas make it into your conscious mind, that's when you have a thought. Like when you're thinking, you're like, okay, I want to do this. That is your conscious thought, right? It's not into your subconscious mind yet. It's not going to make any difference in your life until it makes it into your subconscious. That is when things change. So when you start planting these ideas into your mind intentionally, at first there will be no change. But as you plant these seeds and you get emotionally involved in it, as you start to feel like the person who has what you want to have, who lives where you want to live, who does what you want to do, you will get emotionally involved in this, and this will change your level of vibration. This will change the way you act, because the way you act is determined by the images you hold in your mind. Think about this. When you're in a bad mood and it just seems like nothing's going your way, and then you stub your toe, and then you're trying to unlock the door and you drop your keys, and all these bad things keep happening, and you're like, today's just one of those days. It's because you're holding a negative image in your mind, which is putting you in a bad vibration, which is causing negative things to happen to you. And so you can control this image in your mind, and the image in your mind controls your vibration, which controls your actions. So when you truly comprehend this, and you understand that whatever image you hold in your mind is what's going to eventually move into form, you'll realize you can live any life you want to live. You can do anything. You can accomplish anything. It's not going to be easy. There is a terror barrier. That is why the terror barrier is there. It is not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not through hard work. It's not through force. You're never going to force a new life. You have to become a new person. You have to be reborn into this new version of yourself. That is when you will enter freedom. That is when the why ideas will be flowing through you. And so once you get these why ideas in your mind, which I'm going to give you methods in a minute on how you get these into your mind, but you have to get these Why ideas. And the why ideas is the life you want to live. These are the positive thoughts. This is the reprogramming that you want, right? You're planting your good seeds. So as you plant these seeds over and over and over and over, and you start to see yourself living that life, you're visualizing yourself as that person. You are getting emotionally involved with that. You start to get excited. It starts to feel real. It starts to feel like, you're experiencing that. You start to feel like the person who has what you want to have. That is when things start to change. That is when your body, right? Notice that the mind is way bigger than the body in this picture, because your mind is what controls your body. Your body is an instrument of the mind. Your mind is the master, and your body just acts in direct relation to what you are putting into your mind, what you are holding in your mind. That is why if you see yourself as someone, this is the easiest example. If you see yourself as someone who's overweight in your self-image, you are going to stay that way. You're always going to revert back to that because you are holding an image of yourself of someone who's overweight. So your actions are going to, reflect that. You're going to want to overeat. You're going to have desires for these type of things because you're holding the image in your mind, which changes your actions. So the biggest change you can make for anything, whatever you want to change in your mind, you have to see yourself as the person you want to be, right? So if you're someone right now who you're experiencing a life where you don't have enough money, right? You want more money, just because that's one of the easiest examples. If you see yourself as someone who doesn't have enough, if you see yourself as someone who lives a life of lack and poverty, that's what you're going to get. That's the life you're going to continue to live because that's how you see yourself. Even if you have a month where you do really good, say you double your income, you're like, holy smokes, I'm getting rich. And then the next month you're like, wow, I made no money. What happened? Why did I have such a good month and such a bad month? Because you are leveling back out to be equivalent with the image you hold of yourself. So if you want to change your life, you have to change your self-image, which is why it is so important to reprogram your mind. You have to see yourself as someone who does what you want to do, right? So if you are trying to grow a social media account, right, like me with this YouTube channel, I want to grow this thing huge. I want to have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, right? But if I see myself as someone who has none, if I see myself as someone who, doesn't get any views, who doesn't get any likes, who no one pays attention to, that's what I'm going to continue to get. But when you hold an image of yourself in your mind that you are someone who has, a ton of subscribers, tons of people who watch you, tons of people you're helping, over time you're going to achieve that. You're going to accomplish that. Because you are continually planting these seeds. And that is why it is so important, because you can get anything. You can live any life you want to live. There's no restrictions as to what you can accomplish, what you can do, what you can live, where you can live, how much you can earn, what car you can drive, what house you can live in. There's no rules. But it's all about your self-image. That is your leveling, that is what levels you out. That is what ultimately determines the life you live. And so this image kind of just represents poverty is a mindset, right? Poverty is not the amount of money in your bank account. Poverty is the way you see yourself, the way you see the world, because we live in an abundant world. You don't see birds falling out of the sky because they didn't get food. It doesn't happen. They have abundance of everything. They get all their needs. And we are the same way. We are supplied with all that we need. The only reason, or the only way you don't get all that you need enough for yourself, is if you think these thoughts of poverty. If you're constantly saying, I never have enough money, I can never pay the bills, I'm always in debt, it's one thing after another, when it rains it pours, you are bringing that onto yourself. You are bringing poverty onto yourself. Everything that you experience, the life that you live, is a direct reflection of your thoughts, of your ideas, of your self-image. So if you are not taking time to reprogram your mind, if you are not taking time to plant these seeds, you're going to be the farmer who didn't plant any seeds. You're just going to have a field of weeds. And that's the life you're going to live. So you can't think poverty and expect abundance. It doesn't work. You can't cross paths, because we are first spiritual beings living in physical world. So if spiritually you are someone who doesn't have enough, who lives a life of lack, who, bad things happen to, you are not physically going to be an abundant person who lives a good life, who does what they want to do, who makes as much money as they want to make. You're not going to be that person, because spiritually you're not. And we are first spiritual before we are physical. Your spiritual, your mind, your thoughts happen before the physical results. So if you want to reprogram your mind, if you want to, if you're someone who doesn't have enough, if you're someone who doesn't make enough money, if you're someone who feels like you live a life of lack, if you feel like there's never enough, it's because that's the way you think. So you have to start taking the steps to plant the good seeds. And so the summary, I meant to put a slide on here to go over some things you could do. But to reprogram your mind, here's some things you could do. Step 1, You need to know what you want. You need to know what amount of money you want to make, or where you want to travel. I'm just going to talk about money because it's the easiest thing. I'm not saying this only works for money. I'm not saying you have to be materialistic. I'm not saying life's about money. That's just the example I'm using because everyone can relate to it. Everyone ultimately needs money to live. So you need to decide exactly what you need. How much money do you want? How much money do you want to earn? Right? Be as specific as possible. If you're saying you just want to make more money, that doesn't tell your mind what you need. And you're not talking to God. You're not saying, God, look, I need more. He'll be like, okay, well, make a couple extra bucks. You got what you got what you asked for. So you need to be very specific. You need to know exactly how much you want to make, exactly what you want from this. And then you need to pound that into your mind. You need to constantly think about how in the present tense, I make this much money. If you want to make $100,000 a year, say, I am so happy and grateful I make $100,000 a year. You got to say things like this. You have to become that person. You have to pretend to be that person for so long that you become them. So, auto suggestion, I'm going to probably make a whole video on this, but that is how you're going to reprogram your mind. That is how you're going to change. Because you change your mind, you change your life. Any idea you hold in the mind must move into physical form. If you are holding an idea of abundance, of someone who travels, of someone who is financially free, of someone who can do, you can do what you want, that's what you're going to get. That is eventually what you're going to get. We don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know what the gestation period is, but you are going to get that. But if you see yourself as someone who never has enough, who, lacks and all this, that is exactly what you're going to get. So auto suggestion, repeating these thoughts, or, write a goal card with how much you want, what you want, and just continually read it and visualize yourself as that person. You will become that person. I guarantee it. And then another thing, affirmations. I'm not as big on these, but it's good to just, constantly repeat these positive things. You want to be planting positive seeds, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I'm abundant, I am happy. All these different things. If you're constantly thinking, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, all day long, guess what? You're going to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. Don't forget about everything. Don't just focus on money. You have to be a balanced individual. You can have all the money in the world and a bunch of terrible things can happen to you, but your wish was ultimately fulfilled. So you need to be broad in all categories. You need to be specific, but on multiple categories, not just money. And then also, visualizing throughout the day. Don't go on your phone as much, right? Chill on the phone, put it away, put it in a different room. And when you're not doing anything, just visualize, just see yourself living the life you want to live. Get inspired, get excited, because you will be on that frequency. You can't attract things, the life you want to live is up here on this frequency. You're living right here on this frequency. You can't attract these things. You can't live this life if you're constantly operating down here. But when you're visualizing and when you're seeing yourself living this life up here, your imagination, your mind does not know real from imagined. So if you're imagining yourself, it thinks you're up here. It genuinely believes you're on this frequency, and you're going to attract those thoughts. You're going to be on that higher vibration. You're going to achieve the life that you want to live. So I know that I kind of was all over the place. I'm going to have to be more specific with these videos because I just go on tangents, but ultimately change your mind, change your life. So if you want one-on-one coaching, if you want me to help you apply this information to change your life, if you want to make more money, if you want to have more friends, if you want to move, whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is you want to change, I can help you. DM me on Instagram at Nate Hogue with 2 E's, and we'll get you going. We'll get this started. I'm gonna have videos every single day in March. This is day 2. 31 videos are coming in March, and my TikTok. I will also be posting at least 100 videos this month. We're going full force. We're going to see what happens. We're going for it because I want to help as many people as possible. So if this video helped you, please comment below and let me know. And if you want one-on-one coaching, DM me and I got you. See you tomorrow.